So in 2 minutes or less, I want to try to speak to this question. It was in a group that I follow and that I really like. It's the UFly group. I'm in a lot of other groups, and you could see that this question would work or would be a good one posed for any program. Think of a program like a Broadway show in that it's got a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? Like there's an order to things, there's a structure to it, there's a backbone of it, what's supposed to happen at certain times, what it's supposed to look like, how it's going to get done. All of these things are what makes for good phonics instruction, because it allows us to know that all of the code has been covered and there's accountability as to when and how and who that's going to be delivered to and what it's going to look like. So it's really important. Now, the secret stories is not that. The secret stories is the lifeblood that flows through the program, around, in front of, behind, kind of circulating and permeating the day. Because there is no beginning, middle, and end to secret stories, because it's just the building blocks of the code. And early grades use them to build little 3-block structures, and upper grades use them to build skyscrapers. But the same pieces of the code that are in the word hydraulic are in the word August or Mai. We've got the same sneaky Y, and we've got the same 2 letters that are in love. So everybody needs all of those puzzle pieces in order to really build, to construct words with those blocks, or to pull the sounds apart as they're trying to crack, bigger and harder words. The question that is being asked here is, how do you provide enough practice for kids who need a lot of practice in a structured lesson? I would say that the best way to provide practice is to have more access to the code and let the course of your day give you nonstop practice. Because every time kids are looking at text, every moment in time that they're looking at text, from the very first day of kindergarten, from the very first day of pre-K, they have the opportunity to start making sense of it. What allows them to make sense of it? Understanding and seeing familiar things that they recognize, like the letters that get hurt or the ones that don't get along, or having to listen to your mom and knowing why they're making the sounds that they're making, or which one's sneaky and what it's doing when it is. Having some familiar faces in the crowd is what gets conversation sparked. It's what gets those cognitive juices flowing. It's what causes those, what else could it be? What else could we try? I see this, I see that. What is this doing? Those are the kind of sparked conversations that can begin happening very early on, and therefore give earlier practice, ownership opportunity from the very beginning grade levels. The one thing that will negate that from happening is delayed access to the code that you need to make sense, to make value of the time that you're actually engaging with text. In other words, the keys to the kingdom when it comes to activating the value of your daily reading and writing, the keys to that kingdom are the pieces of the code. The more pieces you have, the more you can utilize your daily reading and writing for your practice, ongoing practice. Think of it like this. You don't practice using your glasses. You just put them on every time you're trying to make sense of text. As a matter of fact, you would never look at text without your glasses, because what would the point be? There's no point in looking at something that you can't make heads or tails out of. And yet we accept that has to happen for the first 2 to 3 years of school, with the weight that it takes to capture each of these pieces of the code. Just look at the whole year in kindergarten, where kids have only individual letters and sounds in programs that don't teach phonics skills in kindergarten. Or even if they do teach phonics skills in kindergarten, you have the puzzle pieces that you're given, and that's all you've got. But why? Why does that have to be all that you've gotten? You can have more sooner, albeit not formally introduced, not with a structured focus to the practice. That's where your program comes in. That's why programs like UFly are so valuable. That's why a phonics program that has an explicit scope and sequence is so important, because it gives you a structure to the acquisition of the entire code. But that structure cannot be your demise, or it cannot be what negates the ability to hone, harvest, and reap all that your daily reading and writing can offer in terms of real practice, life practice, ongoing practice, non-stop practice, 24 hours, 7 days a week practice, because it doesn't turn off when they go home. You can't forget how to read. You can't forget that you know sounds, that you've mapped sounds to symbols. If I see the AU or the AW and I know they're in love and go, I can't help but do that every time I see a word, even if it's just the spaghetti sauce on the menu at the restaurant Mom took me to. I can't turn off the reading. But the only way that that works is if I could get the word sauce, which means I also need the S sound. I need the two letters that are in love. I need to understand C doesn't just say k, because if I don't understand all of that and all I have is the S in kindergarten, or all I know is the AU because it just came up in the second 9 weeks of the, I don't know, third unit in second grade. Like if all I have are these separate puzzle pieces or a handful of puzzle pieces, then I can't take advantage of opportunities that daily interaction with text gives me because I don't have enough pieces of the puzzle to play with it. But the earlier, the sooner, and the faster I get these pieces, the more all of this text experience is electrified and comes alive and is actually highly valuable now to me. And that is the answer to this question. The way to get the constant opportunity for practice is to have more sooner, earlier. Neuroscience gives us a way to deliver phonics faster. We can do that without being disloyal to our program. Our program will hold the maximum value for our kids if kids can actually read the words in the program, and not just some of the words, not just the words that have the phonics skills that are being taught that week, that month, that year, but all of the words. Just like all the words in the math program, just like all of the words on the calendar, just like all of the student names, just like all of the words on the lunch menu, all of the words, everywhere there are text, everywhere there is text, there are secrets. And it's all food for fodder. It's all there, ready to be enjoyed. And this is the answer to how you get the practice that you need. It's the incubation that happens years before this skill is formally introduced. And the formal introduction serves as your opportunity to test the theory. Do they have it? Do they know it? Can they apply it? What is their depth of ownership? Do they need more of a focused, structured application to really hone this skill? But the beauty of giving the earlier, faster access by advancing more of the code sooner outside of a program is that you can't miss a merry-go-round. The program is your bus, designated stops. You have to know when the bus is stopping and where. That's a necessity to have an effective bus system. You have to have that. But the merry-go-round can spin simultaneously. And you can't miss the merry-go-round because it just keeps coming back, just keeps coming back, just keeps coming back. So the AU that's in the word August, or the AW in the word saw, and the sneaky Y that's in the word my, those same building blocks are in those words: hydraulic, hyperventilate. Hyperventilate's got mama E, babysitter vowels, and yet so does the word make, so does the word biking. All of the code can keep coming back from one grade to the next to the next. It's just they're taking those same blocks, building bigger structures. So that's the key. That's the key to more practice, is to give more sooner, earlier, and harvest, reap the reward of everything that we're doing with text throughout the day and outside of the day. Your reading block doesn't have to be confined to 30 minutes a day. It can be 24/7, as long as kids have enough of the code to actually make sense of what they're looking at.